Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyse astrological charts of public figures, and very often they are celebrities. And they normally come in the form of actors, artists, musicians, politicians, royals. But today I'll be looking at the chart of someone who was not famous up until the point she tragically passed away, and that is JonBenét Ramsey. So just a little rehash for you. JonBenét Ramsey was a little girl in the 90s in Colorado. She was a little, beauty queen, and she died under very tragic, horrific, and mysterious circumstances. Originally, her parents, they couldn't find her. They called up the police and said that she was missing, she was kidnapped, and there was a ransom note, which the ransom note was very fishy. If you know, go look at the documentaries. And eventually they found her hours later in the basement, assaulted, deceased. And there's just been lots of theories. The parents were blamed. Their parents are still very, very suspicious. I have my own theories about what happened. And what I wanted to do today was just have a look at her chart, understand who she was, her destiny, and potentially what happened to her. What does the chart say? I'm not here to solve the mystery, but I mean, I'll give it a crack. Before I dive in, I just want you guys to know I have January readings. If you would like to meet me in a Zoom room, if you like what I do, you can actually purchase a reading. They're limited on offer. They are going quickly, like every day I get bookings. There's still some left, so jump on it now, because I'm not gonna be doing readings all the time. I do it every, once in a while, like every 6 months to a year. So get it now if you would like to get your chart read. I also offer 15-minute recorded readings that are emailed to you. It's just a recording of my voice tearing up your chart. I do synastries and transits and full astro readings. And then I have 5-minute focus readings for a specific part of your life or a specific part of your chart you would like insight into. And I also have YouTube members who, by the way, get a very generous discount on readings, on those 60-minute readings. So if you'd like to support me, that's the best way to do it. The YouTube members is about £5 a month, and there's just one tier, and you get extra content on there as well. But yeah, and if you don't want to do any of that, if you could like, subscribe, and comment and help me with the algorithm, share this video with your friends if you enjoy it, I'd be very grateful. Okay, so let's have a look at JonBenét's chart. So she is a Leo sun. Her Venus is in Cancer, and it's in a conjunction with both Jupiter and Chiron, so that's very wounded beauty. Her Mars is in the 12th house in Taurus, so that's sexual exploitation energy. And then she's got a moon in Aquarius with the north node. So her sun is on her south node, her moon is on her north node. She is both a full moon baby and an eclipse baby. Sacrificial lamb energy. Not easy. Yeah. There's a lot going on here. Yeah, and I said Mercury and Virgo. Okay. So let's look. Where do we start? Let's talk about this. Okay. So her Mars is in Taurus. Mars is the planet of sex and anger and action and will. It's in the 12th house. It makes it messy. She's lost sexuality, exploited sexuality. Someone who has trouble. I know she was a child, but there could be trouble processing anger, processing trauma. And like even at 5 years old, she couldn't have processed trauma because she was a child. But when I see Mars in the 12th house, a la Britney Spears, I very often see sexually exploited people. When your Mars, your phallus, the most empowered part of you, is lost in the 12th house of no boundaries. There's no boundaries with sex. It's almost like your beauty and your sexuality don't belong to you, right? That's exactly what happened to Britney Spears, and that's what happened to this poor little girl. She had her face painted, and she was put up on stage like a clown. Like a sexy baby clown. It's fucking disgusting. This Mars is really harshly aspected. It's actually in a grand cross. So really difficult aspect. So follow all the red lines from this 15-degree Mars. And if we move out, you'll see it squares her moon. It squares her sun. And then Pluto is opposite that Mars, and altogether it's got this big, red square with a cross. That's the Grand Cross. And so it shows that there's this very tense, difficult energy here, which involves the home, the mother, the family, the moon, emotions, Mars in that 12th house, sex, the sun, which is performative and the ego, and Pluto, which is, because it's a generational planet, it's out of her control. Something was happening to her that was exploiting her beauty, her sexuality, even though she was a child and she didn't have it yet, and her ability to perform and put on a show. So I think a part of her maybe enjoyed performing, or maybe she enjoyed being pretty, but it's almost like it was hijacked and taken advantage of, and maybe it was for money, or it was for power, or it was for clout, Plutonian things. Yeah, so that looks very difficult. Had she lived and she would have grown up and become an adult, she would have had a lot of emotional problems. Mars square Moon is someone who deals with a lot of anger, and someone who is trapped. Like a Moon in Aquarius longs to be free, but if it squares a Mars and Taurus in the 12th house, that freedom is going to be really difficult to achieve because she's always under the thumb of other people. Her sexuality is always in the eye of beholders, of other people. So yeah, she's very torn in different places. Pluto in the 6th house is also a bit of a workaholic energy. Like if you've got Pluto in the 12th house, your everyday work and routine is super intense. It can also be chaotic, but very intense. It could be even so highly regimented that it is chaotic. It's, and that's enslaved energy. Mars in the 12th house is enslaved energy, and it interferes with her ability to regulate her emotions and her ego, her sun, her ability to self-express in a healthy way. It's just, it's hard. I think had she grown up, she probably would have been someone that really wanted freedom and really wanted to rebel, but also simultaneously really make her family happy. Like, she's a 4th house sun. Like, I'm going to do what my parents tell me to do. I know she's a Leo, but she's a Cancer Leo because she's a 4th house sun. And then, her Mars in the 12th house is exploited. It's also intercepted. So her sexuality or her power is withheld from her, but she has an overpowering. This is so disgusting to say about a child, though. It's really disgusting that I would have to use the word sexuality in relation to this poor child who wasn't a sexual being. She was a child, but she was made to be a sexual being. She was sexually exploited. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I hope that that's really clear. It's disgusting. It's so disgusting. This little girl deserved better. She has a grand trine with her Mercury, her Mars, and these Capricorn planets here. So, and similar, not the same, but similar to Britney Spears, her Mars in the 12th house created an Earth trine with her planets, with the rest of her Earth planets as well. And it's exploited beauty for status or for money. And I am wondering if there was money involved in her exploitation. I am wondering, but potentially had she grown older, her beauty, her ability to perform, Mercury is the mind, and it's dancing, and it's like creativity and things like that. It trines the Mars, which is sexuality, and then it trines this Capricorn stellium. I'm wondering if she would have become some kind of performer and could have made a lot of money out of that. Not the same, but similar to the way Britney Spears did, right? And Britney Spears was a child actor as well, a child performer, very similar to this. Was Britney Spears put in beauty contests? Does anybody know? It's very Britney Spears coded, this. But yeah, abundance comes from performing. It comes from her exploited sexuality. This Capricorn stellium with all these patriarchs, like things that are bigger than her, like she knows how to make the system work for her. The system knows how to exploit her. Like, grand Earth trine. And Earth, like, trines can be great because trines are like effortless. But that doesn't mean that they're not painful, and it doesn't mean bad, like, it doesn't mean only good comes from them. You can have a grand water trine, especially, you can have like a grand trine, and it can hurt you. It can be, it can exploit, it can be very exploitative. Her Mercury plays into the 5th house of performance as well. So singing, dancing, and of course, like the sexual element here. Yeah, her sun is also not nicely aspected by much either, actually. Mars square sun. I know she was like too young for this, but she would have had a very bad temper. I think if she had grown up to actually like manifest her placements properly. Mars square the sun. Sometimes when you like, if your Mars is in Taurus, that could be someone who's a bit of a hedonist. It could be with food. It could be with sex. It could be someone who likes to feel good. And if it squares the sun, it can cause you disgrace. It can cause you a lot of like ego pain. It can inhibit your ability to properly express yourself. So there's difficulty here with anger, with sex, and because she was a child, these were things that were put on her. These were not qualities that she manifested by herself. This is very like situational. But if she had grown up to become older, I could see how it could have created and then perpetuated toxic behaviors. When she was older as an adult. That's what I can see. She has a Venus in Cancer, lovely Venus. So shout out to the Venus in Cancers. It's a really sweet, watery heart. Very sensitive. Venus is beauty and love. And Venus with Pallas Athena, her genius is her beauty. Chiron is here. It's a wounded beauty. When I see people with a Venus Chiron conjunction, a la Marilyn Monroe, my mother, many other people, it's exploited beauty. It's a wounded beauty. And while her beauty is her genius, it's also her greatest wound. It's the thing that gets her victimized. It's the thing that triggers. It triggers a lot. It could, again, exploited, right? And then there's Jupiter here that's expanding that again. Like it gives her a big heart. She's a kind little girl, or someone who's just like, very loving and very generous. It could also be a bit of a people-pleasing energy, especially in Cancer. If Jupiter is with Venus, it's an extreme beauty. Like I've seen people, if someone has a Jupiter and Venus together, or a Jupiter with the moon, because the feminine planets are very pretty. If you've got Jupiter with either of your feminine planets, you're going to be either incredibly beautiful or incredibly charismatic, or both of those things. So as much as her beauty, it got her places, it was also a point where she was wounded. Exploited beauty. And it's also opposed a lot by this Capricorn stellium. Yuck. I feel like patriarchs in her life, men in her life, hurt her. Let's have a look at this. Her 7th house of peaceful partnership and open enemies and business deals has Lilith and part of fortune together. Part of fortune's where you're lucky and abundant, right? Her luck and her abundance and her popularity, because this is the social house, comes through Lilith things. Lilith is the dark demon goddess of abortion and divorce and dead babies. And feminine exploitation. Why is her part of fortune a very lucky energy? In accompaniment with a dark feminine energy, an exploited feminine energy, a dead baby energy. a shitty mother energy. It seems like a lot of abundance comes from all that darkness. In the 7th house of business deals, of partnerships, who was she working with? Who was she exposed to? What was she exposed to? That looks fucked. That looks fucked. And by the way, her dad's a Sagittarius sun, so he activates that energy. I'm just saying. There's something here. I don't like that. I'm going to do a synastry with her and her father very soon, so keep an eye out for that, because we need to talk about that vertex in Libra and his Venus in Libra. We need to talk about that. It's calamity. Now, her north node of destiny is an Aquarius with her moon. I mean, moon on the midheaven is like someone who could work in the arts, right? Because if your moon is in the 10th house, you have to have a career or a job that you're very emotionally connected to. I know she was too young to actually have a job, but we could argue that a moon on the midheaven is like a family business. And then the north node with the midheaven, someone whose destiny is to be in the public eye. That's what she is. She is now a public figure. And because it's with the moon, it's an association with her family, because the moon is the mother and the family and domestic sphere. Hear me out. The moon is the private world, but she's famous because the 10th house is fame. She's famous because of her private dealings, because of her family. For her chaotic Aquarius moon is a very chaotic family, a very chaotic family life, a very disruptive, destructive home life that has led to her being a public figure. North node with the moon on the midheaven in Aquarius. And Pluto's swinging through there. I do think we're going to have a lot of developments around this case. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be solved. I wonder if it's going to be like the Madeleine McCann case where they pinned it on someone who was very convenient and just got it out of the way. Because someone's been arrested, right? Someone's in jail for it, but we don't actually know if he did it. They could have just picked someone out who was just there in the area. You know, like, anyway, let me know if you want me to do Madeleine McCann. Wild. So yeah, North node with the moon and Aquarius on the midheaven, famous for a very chaotic family or potentially a family business. She was already, I know that we know her as a public figure now, but I'm wondering if before she died, she was already quite well known or popular within certain circles. Like she did that beauty contest circuit with her mother. I reckon she was like at least famous in the community. This is is it Boulder, Colorado? Aren't they like rich people there? Like they're kind of crazy. And didn't her father work for some kind of crazy finance company, like really rich, like bastards? Anyway, it just seems really dark and nefarious. So she was already kind of famous before she was famous. She was very well known. She was performing like a little circus monkey in a tutu. It's disgusting. Yeah. So this is her chart. I'm just having a look around just to see if there's anything else I've missed out. This poor little girl, she's like stretched and pulled into different directions. She didn't have much of a chance. I also want to point something out in regards to her death. 8th house is death, right? So this is the 8th house. It lies in Sagittarius. The ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. Where's Jupiter? If we can listen, there's a theory that the planetary ruler of your 8th house will indicate how you die. So let's just use that theory for a moment. If she has her 8th house in Sagittarius and her Jupiter's in the 3rd house of friends and neighbors, potentially the person that killed her was someone that was known in the community, someone very close, like a neighbor or a peer or a sibling, someone close to the family, someone in the neighborhood, someone who's very unassuming. That's who killed her, if we use that theory. So Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. I'm going to do a synastry chart with JonBenét and her father, JonBenét Ramsey. So, yeah, I'll bring that to you really soon because he's shifty. And I have my theories about what happened. I have my theories. I don't know if I'm 100% right, but I'm sorry. He's responsible. Even if he didn't do it, he's responsible for it. He brokered the deal. Even if he didn't fully know what was going to happen, he's responsible. Put your child up there in fucking tutus, wearing adult makeup, exposing her to perverts. Ugh. This child beauty pageant shit needs to die. Anyway, rest in peace, JonBenét Ramsey. Poor sweet girl. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.